shifting my mind to get around you.
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy, Al7 Noob. Welcome back to a brand new video. And before I start this podcast with Curse, Specialist, and Mace, I will quickly want to say, in the middle of it, they couldn't hear me for like 30 seconds, so there's a little bit of a cut. But for the most part, it's all good. I'm going to let you get to it. If you're new, please subscribe. Alright, peace and get to the video. Alright, welcome everyone to it's like a more like a Q&A / podcast. Today we've got Digital. Introduce yourself.
Hello.
Mace, introduce yourself.
What's up?
Hi. Hi. I'm Digital Curse. I make the machinima called Fireteam Weasels and maybe other spin-offs. I do help along on the Destiny Machinima Discord, so give that a wazzle. And yeah, happy to be here.
Hey, Mace.
Yeah, I'm Mace. From Quasar Machinima, and my project at the moment is Repose.
Specialist.
Howdy, I'm Specialist. I spend most of my free time making Destiny memes, skits, etc.
That's the mood. If you haven't checked out Specialist, please do. Sweet as the skull on. Alright, so we're first starters. How's everyone going? How's everyone fight? Night, day,
Doing pretty not
morning,
bad.
I'm doing okay.
I'm still sipping on that coffee, so we're good.
I'm sipping a monster as well. I'm with you. Alright, so we'll firstly start off, right? What's everyone's thoughts on the season so far? Just alone, what we got so far. This is not including, for like everyone watching in the future, this is before we got like the new choice rifle and stuff. This is like, what, 2 weeks in? 2-3 weeks in?
Well, so
Everyone enjoying
far,
New season?
for this season, at least season of Rivals, I mean, I like it how they keep all this thing secret, especially like the we go finally see the cradle. I always thought it was like arena kind of thing, because it's a big, massive white tree. I'm liking I love the prophecy dungeon. I think that was one of the best things they ever made so far.
I agree.
And the contact mission's okay, but other than that, there's not really much else to do apart from that. So it can get dry very quickly. But I know like they're just huge in all the marketing for the next expansion. So it's why they kind of not like advertising this season much. It's just kind of understandable. It's all the hype goes to that. So that's why I'm not really like disappointed or anything. So especially the dungeon, I love the dungeon. But also for us machinima creators, that's also bad news because they are going to remove content. Right, get on a bit about later about that, but yeah, that's what I'm not really happy about.
Mace, how are you finding it?
Yeah, I think the season overall is pretty interesting. I think from a narrative standpoint, it's interesting. Like Digital said, we saw the cradle, in the tree of the silver wings on Io. Yeah, I think going forward, that's one thing that I hope that they really kind of don't ruin, so to speak, or make these characters like Sabathun or whatever is behind the visage of the darkness. I hope that they don't make them kind of lackluster and pretty forgettable. I feel like they could really do some really interesting writing with those guys and stuff. And I know Aramis is I think that's the fallen captain. That's like the antagonist in Beyond Light. That's pretty interesting there. Yeah, it's outside of that, it's pretty okay. For me, I'm mostly actually playing it with people that haven't been playing Destiny in a while, so kind of just getting to go through, all your kind of daily stuff is cool, especially when you have people to do it with. Because beforehand, I was mostly just kind of a solo kind of guy rolling through things, but having people to do it with is pretty cool.
What about you, Specialist?
There are a few things, I'm going to first talk about the story aspect. I think it's really interesting how they're basically treating this season as a prelude to Beyond Light.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious on how exactly they're going to be transitioning where we are now to Beyond Light, because we're already losing planets. We know that, and it kind of sucks for people that do want to make stories with those planets. But at the same time, I do want to see how they get rid of these planets. Are we going to be like evacuating? Are we going to actually see these planets slowly be lost to darkness? That kind of thing. I want to see how we like transition to the pyramids and what exactly is happening in Beyond Light. I think we're going to know a lot more about at the end of Arrivals. So I'm honestly really curious about that. From a gameplay perspective, it's got pros and cons. I really enjoy what they're doing with the Umbrals. Even though we no longer get higher power from them, at least we're still having an easy grind to get loot that we really like. A lot of people are really enjoying, the Buster Sword, aka Dark Drinker 2.0, aka Fallen Guillotine. That's a really cool one. The Bowcaster is returned in the form of the Temptation Hook. A lot of really cool loot that way. But on the other hand, there's also the cons of sunsetting and they're reissuing loot that, I'm not too happy about. Like my Steel Sabile, I've been using that for a long time now. And I just got basically the same sword, but with the Arrivals logo on it, which is kind of weird. I feel like I should just be able to infuse my sword to the same one, Why would I have to grind for the same one?
I agree.
So on one hand,
So
on one hand, we got cool new loot, we got cool new activities, and we got all. I also want to say I think the public event this season is much better than the one last season. But at the same time, there's a few aspects that just aren't what I would agree with.
What did you guys think of the
overall? I think it's a good season.
What did you guys think of
so
the
far.
AFK farm?
The AFK farm?
Yeah, did you guys do the AFK Forge farm?
No,
I
I did not either. I didn't see
It was worth it.
Like, it was fine if you go to work or something or go to bed, but the problem was I can't sleep with an Xbox on or something, so I just don't bother with that. And obviously, since this pandemic going along, I'm really going back into work, so I don't really just want to just sit there doing AFK farming. I'd just rather just play the game. Honestly, it just takes away the fun out of it. Honestly, if you're just going to AFK farm, the only reason you ever did it was if you're not literally on your console or PC.
Yeah.
So
Not
that's
gonna
why
Let
lie.
me add on what I did for that. So for me, I actually did AFK farming, and what I did was basically every time I just go to bed, we playing Destiny regularly, but when I just got tired and went to bed, I just leave my Xbox on and I'd have my dude just chilling there on the farms. And I say this because people argue it takes away the fun, but there's no fun in doing the same activities again for the next season and power leveling. I don't find fun in that. I find fun in actually doing the activities, using new loot, finding new tactics. Like raids, I do raids blind sometimes, and they're so fun to figure out. I don't have fun leveling my way to do the raid. I don't have fun grinding the same activities again. Do I enjoy Gambit? Yes. Do I enjoy having to do Gambit to do the Prophecy Dungeon? No. That's just my point.
It seems like we're doing a lot of old content to get new content. I think that's the point where it's could we've had it for so long, it's I have to do set activity again. Ugh. Everyone loved the Prophecy Dungeon. Imagine they released the season where we could just do the dungeon. We do a mission and then we do the dungeon, a brand new mission, so it's all fresh content. Not just go and do Gambit, go and do public events for, I don't know, 2 hours straight.
I had a talk with Solar Flare. Sorry.
What's that?
No, you're good.
I had a talk with Solar Flare earlier on Twitter about this, and we basically had the same idea of why didn't we just have it to where we could do the dungeon when it came out, but have maybe it's watered down in a way, for our level. But then you could have the regular dungeon at 1060 with better loot or that kind of thing, or maybe the regular loot but not watered down per se. Maybe you get higher rolled stat armor, better weapons, maybe even the weapons that have rolls that we want are locked behind the 1060 one, while the weapons, if you just want to try them out, are in the watered down dungeon.
Yeah, I can agree on that. What do you guys think of the light level system right now? The actual
the sunsetting?
We'll go into that in a minute, but just the light level in general. Do you guys think it works at the moment, especially going into Beyond Light?
I wouldn't really, not too much, because it's a bit annoying that when you're trying to get the modules, But they cost. I think they cost so much. It's like that. I think the glimmer is a bit too much on there, and getting materials and everything. It's like you're gonna be like, as soon as you hit like 1,000, you pretty much got to have purples all the time.
Yeah.
Or you just have to wear blues all the time, which is a bit annoying. So I really think they should like retweak it so it's more easier to get modules or something. Like I'm fine with like enhancement cores, like kind of a hard to grind, but getting it from Banshee, I think they should. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Instead of just getting it from Banshee alone, there should be other ways to get modules. Like just from like pinnacle activities or like dungeon rewards. Like I know that you can get like ascension shards or prisms from Nightfalls, but I feel like just doing the little more tame versions with matchmaking on, you can just get like modules.
Yeah, I can agree on that. I can agree. What's good? We're gonna speak about machinimas in this part, right? What do you guys think of like we spoke a little bit on it earlier, but the season pass kind of thing, like when you make machinimas, obviously you guys remember when we had the Fellwinter's bunker? Like Like let's say you're filming a big machinima and then you want to use like the bunkers, but then you also want to use like the new IO event, for example, right? What do you guys think of like them actually taking that content out and then putting new ones in? But like let's say for example, like I filmed a lot in the Fellwinter bunker where like another big grand entrance to where you get the shotgun right there. But now that's gone, like what do you guys think of that? Like the season pass sort of thing. Where they give us places and they take away places and they keep doing that, like for like a machinima standpoint.
Yeah. I believe that is like they obviously Bungie has designed this game to not with creators in mind. Like they just made it just for like more of a MMO kind of point. So it's more focused on like just people playing the game. So that's why there's no photo mode. Even though there's one in like Borderlands 3 and Division 2, yet no person uses them.
Yeah.
They still have them. But yet there's so many creators and photos, screenshotters and Destiny montages that use this game, yet there's no photo mode. I'm not asking for theater mode. All I think most people just want is an option to just turn the guns invisible. That shouldn't take a season's work, as much as Deej like to say. A season's work could be the theater mode, but if you got the no HUD version, that was a good addition. But that's still not enough. You need like to make the guns invisible, and then if you couldn't do it in Halo 2 with blind, then there's no excuse there. So, I know I went off topic a little bit, but to remove content.
No, that's fine.
Like for example, with this lie, I'm glad they actually they've made a statement now, like for year 4 season pass, like all the content's going to stay for a year this time instead of just moving each season. So it's great because now you have a year's time to like if something cool's come up in one of the seasons this year, well for year 4 at least, you can just like all right. That's a cool thing. Now I got some time before the next September DLC. So I like what they're doing there. So you have some time, but it is still a deadline kind of thing. But this last season, because I did want to film in like you said, the Fellwinter's bunker, but I did manage to get some footage from the other Rasputin bunkers, but I had to do them with a deadline. Just like all right, I got these just in case. So it's I don't like that, but I'm glad now. For next year onwards, they're going to do a yearly rotation instead of just every season.
I agree. Probably, Miss.
Yeah, I think it's it makes sense, I guess, with the model that they have set up, and if they have these zones and these new places like the bunkers, they're going to be here for 3 months, I guess, is how long a season lasts. I do feel like maybe it from a content creator perspective, the bunkers were cool, especially the the room that where the so like the moon bunker, for example, I guess,
Yeah.
You know, where like Rasputin is hanging from the ceiling in the middle, and you've got the seating on both sides, and on one side of the room would be the the wall and that would show the pyramids, and that space was interesting, and even the spaces leading up to those. And um I was looking at that, not even not for repose, but for like future things of like, oh, it'd be cool to like build something around this. But like I didn't, I don't have any of that planned. I don't have any of like how I'd want to set that up. And so I don't know, it feels like, I guess, it kind of forced me a little bit to like try to rush things a bit, and I don't really work very well when I'm rushing and stuff. And um you know I didn't get any footage inside of the bunkers at all. It's at a detriment, maybe. I don't know. But or even like the corridors of time. Uh, I helped people and stuff get stuff for their things, and so I'm just interested to see how people kind of integrated, if they did capture the footage, or if they did utilize them. Like you said, Splash, you used it in Senshi.
Yeah.
For anyone who has the footage, I'm interested to see how they integrate it into their projects. Because I thought the bunkers were really interesting. I thought they were really cool. I loved the kind of. I felt like it harkened back a lot to what the Cosmodrome looked like, with that kind of derelict, all the kind of Russian iconography and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was really cool. So I'm just interested. And then the gear too. I tend to try to always keep a set of the season pass gear on all my characters, because you never know if someone's gonna need it for a project. But I'm interested to see if anyone does utilize that Warmind gear, because I thought it was pretty interesting. So.
What about you, Specialist?
Am I muted? No, I'm not muted. Okay, good. I miss the sundial. I miss the little area in Mercury because it looked really nice. And I remember taking a lot of nice screenshots there. But the fact of the matter is in a perfect world where the game could take all this stuff, I'd love to have it around. But the fact of the matter is, it's not. We don't get to keep all this stuff because the game can't handle all that stuff in the game at the same time, I guess. And we know it's coming. We know it's leaving. The best we can really do with what we got is form a plan and record what you can and integrate it into your works.
Yeah, I mean, this stuff's around for like 3 months, I think, is the cycle on the season stuff. So if you really really want to use it, then you gotta utilize it. So.
And now, actually, I'm thinking about it now. They're sunsetting all these other planets, right? And that means that if you wanted to record something with Road War storyline, or maybe even the Mercury or Warmind story, that's also leaving soon.
Yeah, definitely. So like, if I got some stuff planned on in the Osiris and the Earth missions, basically, of those campaigns, but I just know they'll go away, even though it makes no sense because they're on the Earth.
I also, are they just
makes a lot more sense, I guess.
Curse, do you know if they're getting rid of like all the stop missions in the Red War and all that stuff, even though they're not on the planets being taken
Well, I read
away?
the Bungie post about all that, and it said like they're just moving all the planets associated with the PvE activities. Like with Crucible maps, they said that it just still remains like a best of D1, D2. So I assume that's staying. It not said they're not removing the Crucible maps situated with those planets. They just said just all PvE activities. So it's very unclear. I am assuming, as a worst case scenario, they are removing all the Red War campaign missions and all the Osiris and Warmind. But I won't be surprised if they keep the Earth versions of them, because they're on like Earth, or at least the ones on Nessus as well. There's some on Nessus. But I would definitely, just in worst case scenario, if you got stuff to film on the story missions, I would do them in this season. But same with Gambit. It's like the Gambit maps. They said that nothing's touched in Gambit in terms of maps, but they did say they're going to integrate Gambit Prime and Gambit into one game mode. So I don't know which one they're going to choose, but that's what they're doing. They didn't say anything about Reckoning going away, and they didn't say anything about Gambit private matches going away. So it's very unclear at the moment. But in terms of like PvE activities, like all the patrol areas, adventures, all the Leviathan raid, and including Crown of Sorrow, Menagerie are going away. And
I'm gonna miss Tribute Hall.
yeah, I think Tribute is going away as well. It's pretty much anything Leviathan wise. Which kind of sucks. I didn't want to film in Leviathan, but fine. I'll take it. And the worst thing
Isn't that
is,
kind of weird though?
it's
Like
gonna go away.
it's kind of weird how they made you grind so much in Seasonal Opulence to fill out your Tribute Hall, and now it's all going away. It's like a really strange thing to me.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff you had to invest to get that working. I mean, like people that got the emotes and the bad juju catalyst. I mean, good for you. You're gonna, keep that with you. But anything else in that place is going away.
Yeah, I expect them to release him back in a couple of years' time, because they're releasing Cosmodrome again, and Vault of Glass. So assuming like next year, because of the Witch Queen, they might release something like the Chrono Moon Raid and the Dreadnought, for example. So I think they're going to cycle through Destiny 1 stuff, and then eventually once they cycle through all the good stuff from Destiny 1, they'll go back to D2 again. So I was expecting these planets will come back in at least a couple of years' time.
Do you think the Cosmodrome is going to be any different, or do you think it's going to have like lost sectors in it, or do you think it's going to be just like
Lost
code
sectors.
carbon copy of the classic?
I think it's just going to be a carbon copy, because I remember watching the stream. They did say it's for players who never played D1 before and they want to relive it all again. So like the strikes are returning, like Septus Prime, Omegle, and was there one more? I think there was one more. Oh, Fallen Saber. That's right.
Sure.
So they're releasing that as well. They're not releasing anything Plaguelands. It's just the original Cosmodrome.
Gotcha.
And then with Vault of Glass, it's just, literally Vault of Glass. With, and they said they're going to have champions in it. It's making it interesting.
I would hope that they would add like lost sectors and stuff, because that's not like I don't know. I would say that's not difficult or whatever, but like there's plenty of spaces I can think of in the Cosmodrome where that you could integrate some lost sectors. If it's just a bare
Can you imagine
bones
like
thing,
a loot cave or something?
I'd be a little bit bummed on that.
That'd be cool.
Cosmodrome's
Yeah, I'd like to see
cool, but
Lost Sector Loot Cave.
I'd like to see some changes on it too. And then like I'm interested what they do with Vault of Glass, because I was talking to a friend of mine about this the other day, because you can load into VOG. I'm now for sure. I don't know if it's always been like this, but you can load into Vault of Glass, and obviously we all know you spawn outside. You do the whole raising the tower thing. If Venus is not a location that they're going to release yet, if you go in and load into D1 now and load into VOG, you can go and run around Venus and not even do the raid and go to all these different places.
Yeah,
I'm very curious if that's going to be an option, because Venus is in a space they're doing Vault of Glass and the Cosmodrome. I'm curious if they're going to change the entrance to it. If I don't think they would do that, but I don't know if Venus is in a space. I'm just curious if that option's still going to be there, where you can load in.
When I talked to my friends about it, one of my friends theorized that instead of the entrance to Venus, it'll be in Nessus instead. That's why Nessus planet is still there. I thought that was a cool idea. But I think what they'll do is keep it at Venus. But like the two entrances to the other patrol sections, like Section 9 and the Lost Coast. I think what they do, they add in a huge, massive Vex wall. If you notice, when you go to like various areas into the forest, try to go outside, it has that huge, like, invisible Vex wall, and then when you go near it, it's there like a grid. It's like, can't go that far. So I think that's what they'll do, and I think they'll just block it off. So that's the easiest thing to do. That's what I think they'll do.
Sure.
So like it'll just you have to like stick.
I'm really hopeful that they would
outside
just.
part.
I'd be really hopeful they just let us explore Venus, because that'd be really cool. But I also think it's more likely they're either going to give us a new entrance or they just block it off with either like a new wall, like literally just more stone wall where they usually would be, or they just put a Vex
Yeah.
wall like you said. No, Splash, we
Although-
couldn't hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sound better.
You were good.
Yeah, there we go.
I was still going like, oh no, they can't hear me. Okay. So this would be interesting, especially for people who watch like you Curse, you Mace, you Specialist. This would be really interesting for the viewers as well. So we'll start with you, Curse here. What decided you, right, to pick up like YouTube in general, like kind of machinimas? Did you get any inspiration? Did you get any like what sort of came to your head before you started?
All right. Well, I started like YouTube like ages ago, like back 10 years ago. I was doing like animation stuff. I used to do like Adobe Flash stuff, and I tried to go to using college, and so I knew a lot about editing and video editing, audio editing from just college from a couple of years ago, and then I decided to like focus less on like animation and focus more on just like video, like just video game news. So I chose Destiny because I was throwing Destiny at the time. So my original channel, it was just full of like just normal Destiny news like you see on the YouTube. And I during that time, I decided to do a spin-off of just making machinima. It was just basic. It wasn't like planned. It was just like, I'll just make a cool Red versus Blue like inspiration. Just had two of my friends just do it. And then unfortunately, a lot of people prefer that over my actual news channel stuff. So what I did, I deleted everything from the news channels. I mean, I had like at least 50 videos.
Yeah.
Just cooking away, and I was focused more on just making machinima. So that's how I gained like subscribers just from that alone. Like every comment I have was, "Can you just make more machinima? Like, when's this episode out? When's the episode?" I was like, "All right, okay, I got the message." So that's how it came to be.
Hell yeah. What about you, Mace?
Yeah, so I would say that my journey to YouTube is really just kind of centered around creating machinima. Finally, I guess I really started kind of watching YouTube stuff pretty heavily when I was still in high school. When I got my Xbox 360, is when Halo Reach came out. Spent an ungodly amount of time on that game. Made some cool friends, met some cool people. And then we'll just kind of casually watch YouTube stuff in the background. And I remember the first video I had seen was actually, I believe it was uploaded by Machinima, the YouTube channel. And it was like a shoot 'em up action kind of thing. It was like 8 or 9 minutes, and it was like the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And then I kind of got into it a little bit, and then go down the rabbit hole, and you find like Rise of the Spartans and all that kind of stuff, and all the like big action heavy projects and whatnot. There was a time where I actually had a really good buddy that I was playing with, and he's like, "Hey, we should try to make one. Like, we should try to make that kind of stuff." And we were gonna combine our two gamer tags, and that was gonna be our YouTube channel, and we were gonna make stuff, and then he just like disappeared off the face of the earth, and like stopped playing Xbox, just totally gone. And so that idea kind of fell flat pretty quick, and then when Destiny came out, I've only been on YouTube, I guess, for like a little over a year and a half, I guess. So I was late to the game, but and then Destiny comes, you've got your news channels, your commentators, stuff like that. Your PvP guys. So there's just different kind of subsects and different genres and whatnot of it, and so it's been cool so far, man. I like it.
Well, be Specialist.
Cool.
We live in a world filled with PvPers and PvEers and meta chasers and machinima artists. But there's not enough sweet business in the world, so that's where I come in. But realistically speaking, ever since I was a wee little lad, I enjoyed making little movies with my little brother. We just mess around, eventually I discovered YouTube, and I watched people, not people that created films, but people that made gameplay videos and all that stuff, and I was just completely so engaged with it. I was enjoying every little bit of it, and I like to think that some of my personality was rubbed on. I got inspired, I guess you could say, by a lot of old creators on the site.
Mhm.
I think that's what built a bit of my personality today, per se.
Yeah.
Especially like when you see like maybe like the kind of comedy that I might do. It's
Yeah.
not entirely unique, but it's you'd see it from people on YouTube. It's just kind of it was really fun to watch for me. And when I started making my own machinimas, I figured I would do the same. I used to make Star Wars ones, where it's a lot more action based, and it was mainly just recording myself playing Star Wars Battlefront. But I'd compile it all into like a cinematic storyline per se, like Scarif to blowing up the Death Star, and eventually I got into Destiny. I made more Destiny gameplay videos because that's just what I did. I'm as much of an editor as I am a movie creator, and eventually, I think Sweet Business was probably my first actual cinematic thing I made, and I was really happy with it. And I thought to myself, man, this was really fun. I want to do more of that.
Sweet Business Gang. Warwick Gang. What does everyone think of, like, do you know how they said we briefly touched on this earlier, but they said they're going back to like kind of the DLCs like they used to do before, like back in D1. So they got Beyond Light. What was it was like Lightfall after or something like that?
Is it Witch Queen and then Lightfall?
Yeah, like what do you guys think of that? Like
I mean, I wasn't. I thought it was great. I was expecting them to just announce the next two DLCs. I know that Lightfall said it's work in progress, so it could change. It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So I assume, and that's when the Destiny 3 was supposed to be. It's mostly about the darkness now. I was expecting Savathun to pop up somewhere, so I'm kind of glad that they are focused on it, wherever it'll be. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm really hoping to tweak the season pass module in between, because I think like the expansion so far, like Shadowkeep, Forsaken, are their best work, especially launch raids. But the actual season pass, the seasons themselves aren't exactly been great at the moment. So they're the ones that need to focus more on that. I honestly I think what they should do more is like do less seasons in a year. Maybe do about 2 seasons instead of just making 4. Because I didn't mind like the content drought between like in Destiny 1, when it was like a new update in March, April, and then you get the expansion. There was enough to do there. So I think what it should do is like release a season in December, not have a season in September because I'll be focused on the expansion, but just have one in just in December, and then maybe one in like April, May, and that's it. That's what I feel like they should do. We can put a lot more content in them too.
Yeah, I can agree on that. What do you think, guys?
So, like, story-wise, Curse, do you think like they'd mesh in, like they combine the story of Undying and Dawn, and then like have Worthy be the second one, or like how would that work?
I feel like it's improving the story a lot more. Like they added a lot of character interactions. For example, like if you play Prophecy, there's a lot of different eras, and even my friends were actually like getting excited because they were fanboying about Shaxx and Osiris being a thing. So I thought that was they were going nuts on that. So, but in like terms of
Shaxx
how
ever
to
with
do the
Osiris?
story, not Shaxx. Sorry, Scene 14. My bad. It was Scene 14 and Osiris being a thing.
Yeah.
But in terms of like how they go into the story, they're doing a lot better. Like I feel like they need to do a lot more lore-based stories. Like Fellwinter was a great one, and they need to integrate much of the writers of the lore into the main story. Because I feel like the lore is like a much better
100%.
way of telling a story. But when you play the game, it feels like very dumb. Like it feels like completely different people are writing it. It's like, I'm just like, why can't it just like be more complex like the lore? I don't understand. So I feel like, but they are doing some improvements, like they're adding like live events, something like Fortnite with the Almighty. I really like that. I made a video based on it as well.
I
Which,
I
and
think
they
I
did say
understand
they're going to do a lot more of
why
that.
it's. I think I understand why it's not as complex in the actual game. The game isn't just a story game. It's a loot game. It's a first-person shooter. It's a lot more. I guess it's meant for the casual people who are just enjoying it. They're not really gonna want to have to focus on this complex story. Meanwhile, people that actually read the lore and stuff, they probably focus more on the story there because people who are actually engaged in the story will read it there. But I do agree that they should probably just try to integrate more complex things into the story of the actual game. And if the people get confused by it, I mean, people play Dark Souls, right? And that stuff has like complex story stuff in the game, right? And they're doing fine, right?
Yeah, I think Dark Souls. I think it's a different kind of game. People that play Destiny aren't gonna play, won't play Dark Souls like they play Destiny. And Dark Souls is definitely a very narrative, I would say, driven storyline. I think it's. I mean, I think it's cool to have. Yes, the lore, the lore books are written. A lot of those are written really beautifully, really well. The one kind of going back a little bit what you said, Splash, about the model before, or the taken the Witch Queen and all that kind of stuff. I kind of said it in the opening thing. It's like I really, really want them to nail down the writing on those things, because the darkness, I mean, yes, it's kind of been around for a while and whatnot. I don't want them to screw that storyline up, or whatever they have planned with it. And same with Sabathun. I feel like she's kind of she's living in this void, so to speak, of she's Oryx's sister. She's leading the Taken. Is she a mouthpiece of the darkness? Is she something that is being manipulated by the darkness? Like, what I really hope they nail that kind of stuff down. And the Gardener and the Winnower lore book is incredible. The Revelations lore book from the Moon is also really well written. That whole storyline that plays out with the darkness. The darkness stuff is just really interesting, And I feel like the kind of heavy, meaty stuff outside of these cutscenes and obviously the darkness ships on Io and whatnot. I feel like a lot of the stuff we've been getting from them is in writing form. Now, granted, you can look at the Gardener and the Winnower lore book and be like, it's that's an anecdotal, one-sided kind of account, so to speak. From the darkness, they're maybe shaping things to fit their kind of own agenda. I did the interference mission earlier today, with a friend, and I don't know if we were a week behind or what, but Eris had some really interesting dialogue talking about how the darkness views the traveler as this kind of object that is like an overprotective parent, basically, towards the guardians and stuff. I'm just super interested in where that story goes with the darkness, and I really hope they don't shit on it with cheesy dialogue and characters that are there for a second that say one thing and then are completely irrelevant after the fact. I feel like if I'm curious, because I would, on an internal perspective, I wonder if the same people that are writing these lore books or writing character or descriptions on armor and stuff are the same people writing the dialogue between characters on in cinematics. Because I mean, like the Drifter and Eris, they rib on each other, and she calls him Rat or whatever. Like that's fun and that's funny. But I want to see a character come along, or a character kind of evolve into someone that's a little bit more, like, I don't know, sophisticated, I guess, or not so cheesy, I guess.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities to include, like, it doesn't even have to be in text, like in the lore. Like, it can make Destiny TV series. They could do the comics, but they did try comics before and it didn't really work well because the writing staff for that was crap. But I think they should move some of the lore writers to do comics instead. That'd be great. Or like some people work on a movie or Destiny TV series. Because I'd love to see like a TV series based off Destiny,
Mm.
based off other characters, like from the start. That'd be great.
That'd take too much budget. That'd be cost way too much. I don't think they'd do it.
Do you guys think what do you call it? I know you talked about it. Do you guys think they should go with like, remember back in Halo where you used to have a button combination to lower your weapons and shit? Like you should
Yeah.
imagine if they brought that to Destiny and just theater mode in general. Just think like, because look how good Destiny looks as a game. Like just looking around like in the patrols itself, it's a really like nice looking game. Like I'm surprised they haven't added a theater mode. How many years into the game? Like how long did it take us to get private matches in D2? Like
Yeah. I remember reading a tweet from like Deej saying like in order to make some sort of photo mode or theater mode, it has to take a season's work. But like I said earlier, it's like
Season of
I don't
Adventure.
think we even need a theater mode. All we need is literally a way to a way to lower our weapons. Like you said, the code thing, like in Halo, would be a great idea because it's so
Yeah.
annoying to like lower your weapons, but stand around in a non-combat area for 4 minutes just for your weapon to go down. I feel like it should
Oh,
be.
I
A
mean,
code
to add
for
on to that,
and then
I think.
then-
Sorry, you want to continue?
Oh, I was just saying that it's like literally like I said earlier, it's like all we need is an option in the options menu. Because Ready God had option to turn it off, but there should be an option just to make our guns invisible for filming or taking screenshots. Because like, what's the point of having one but not the other? That's all you need, and you can just do some amazing stuff just that. You don't even need like a photo mode.
yeah.
So, there we go.
To add on to that, we recently got custom mapping for our controllers, and I believe keyboards already had this. If they didn't already, they know now. So I think it'd also be a lot easier for them to add a function like holstering a gun or lowering the gun with custom mapping.
Just have it be like tap R3 10 times in a row and it will lower the gun. Or something.
I'd also like to
Something like that.
apologize. I have some thunder in the background, so you might hear that.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
I can't hear anything.
Yeah, we can't even. It's fine. Right. So the next question would be is obviously we like most like us here we make machinimas, right? What would be your best advice for anyone who's just starting machinimas? So, I mean, like someone who just they bought the game, they're watching like for example Fireteam Weasel, they're watching all the sorts of machinimas and they want to make a machinima. We'll firstly start off of what do you got? What's your best advice you would give? We'll go with you, Kirsten, and we'll go down.
All right. Okay. Well, my best advice is if you want to start making machinima in Destiny, definitely don't overthink it first. Like literally, like I said earlier, like the way I started fighting me, so I only had like 2 friends, and we just did something very basic, and we just worked from there, and you just get better over time. I definitely recommend first you know how to do a bit of video editing, sound editing. Then there's tutorials out there of like how to get like these certain software, how to do this and blah blah blah. There's also tutorials how to actually use filmmaking in Destiny 2, like what's the best way to tips and tricks of like how to like use the SMG glitch. That's what I use, or like use the Warlock glitch, use the normal bomb. There's tutorials on how to do that. But in terms of actually making a story, yeah, definitely go basic. Don't like over complicate things with like don't try to make a series like and you haven't like made the first episode yet. I would definitely like maybe start with a practice like short story, or maybe just do like something for fun first, just to get the hang of it, and then start working on something serious then afterwards. Because if you start on something serious first, you're gonna like look back at it over like years time. It's like, oh, I wish I could do better. I wish I could do better. So definitely start practicing first.
That's a great point.
Yeah, but I'll just definitely start from very basics first. I'll say that's my advice.
Yeah. What about you, Miss? What about you?
Yeah, I can attest to that for sure. You
Oh,
definitely
great.
you definitely don't want to start out too big, especially if you're coming into it pretty blind. Because you can. I'm gonna just use Destiny because that's what we create our stuff in. Is you can come up with something and you're like, oh, it sounds really cool in my head, or it sounds really good on paper, and um, you know, uh, turning that into a cohesive, fluid story is always interesting in Destiny. But I would say that advice wise, don't be afraid to take risks narratively and even in the game. Always kind of like go outside the box. I feel like is always fun and kind of maybe not flip expectations, but don't be afraid to kind of do chat or tackle, I guess from a story perspective, don't be afraid to kind of tackle difficult themes or story structure, stuff like that, nonlinear storytelling or certain issues. Like obviously you don't want to, don't make something that's super violent and it's going to piss a bunch of people off or whatever, or that's filled with hatred and stuff like that. But just and I think that brings up the choice too of like, well, do I want to do something that is is an original thing, or do I want to do something that's maybe a little bit that's like set in the universe? Do I want to do a project that is maybe about the Red War, or do I want to do a project that has maybe original characters that are then placed into the Red War, or then placed into the Taken War, or stuff like that. And so figuring out your story and definitely, if you're doing a series or something like that, knowing kind of where you want to end up in the end is important, because if you're kind of just doing things as you go and there's not really kind of this end goal in mind, it can get kind of janky and the pacing can kind of be weird. That was I started Repose kind of in that manner and kind of took some time to sit back and have this kind of roadmap in mind. So so you know where your story is going to end up. I think it's really important. So yeah.
What about you, Specialist?
I can't really add a lot because I think Mason Digital Curse actually said a good lot about what I'd be thinking. But I guess a few things I could say would be, for starters, yeah, I've been making my own little like short things and all that. I haven't really started an actual serious storyline yet. But for when I'm writing, and I have written my own little like I guess serious storyline for once. And I think one thing I could add on to this would be, you should definitely have a beginning and end point in mind. Think about the story you want to tell, but a problem I think a lot of people will probably have is what goes in between your beginning and end. How do you get to where you want to? How do you get to the ending you want? And I think the best thing I've had in my mind is, what exactly do you want for your characters, and what kind of things do you think will help them grow to that point? So I just be going in my head, like step by step, like what things are happening in here that would not only entertain the viewer, but also make them think, yeah, okay, this is definitely getting to that point. I'm enjoying this ride. It's got like good pacing, that kind of thing. So yeah,
Advice I'd give is don't overthink it. Like, to put in the perfect example, I use Share Factories on the PS4, completely free, don't need nothing for it. Like, everyone starts from somewhere. Even if it's just starting off with, like, let's say you have one friend who wants to make a machinima, just kind of, even if it's just one, like a story following one character, you'll only get better from there. You know what I mean? Your first video is never gonna be your best. You're always gonna improve as time goes on. A thing that I think most people probably have is, what's the best place for people to search for A, body actors, B, voice actors for machinimas? I'll go with you first, Chris, on this one.
Yeah, so in terms of body acting, I I'll have a part of a Discord called the Destiny Machinima Discord.
Yeah.
We definitely have at least over 200 people that's willing to body act or voice act as well. So if you're a voice actor, you can always, if you want to film in a Destiny Machinima, you know, you can always visit the Discord. You can also visit Splash is own server as well. So if you like Splash, you want to help with Splash, you know, he has his own server for that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, but for sure. Curse's Discord is a very lovely place. Like, if you're looking to start machinimas, you have a lot of people on there who will be more than willing to help. Like, I'll put in the link to the description. It'll be the top link. Go and join that. Mine will be underneath it. But if you really want to get into machinimas, join Curse's Discord. Very good place. The reason I give it I give it that is because for everyone who didn't know, I stopped doing like YouTube a year ago, and I came back, and I remember Curse. You remember this? I came back and like there was a comment. I barely remember. It was like, "Oh, welcome back. You know, let's take you home." And you sent me the Discord link, and I was like, "Oh, what a guy!"
Yeah.
I remember like this is gonna be like a new thing, but I remember back when I had like 40-ish subs when I was making machinimas. I remember vividly. It was on my Unbroken video, my motivational video back in D1. I remember you posted a comment on it, and I was like, "Holy shit! Like I used to watch this guy a lot." And I was like, "Holy shit!" And that's why I was like, "Oh shit! This is like that." That was a big push, especially with like all my friends and that helping out along the way. But
Yeah.
you kind of.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it's like with me, like I saw Tempest's videos as well. I was just like, oh, you know, I messaged him saying like, oh, I'm a big fan of yours. We should definitely collab. And he's like, oh, I'm already a fan of you. I was like, oh, really? I didn't know.
Let's go.
Kind of thing. So that's how I met him. Same with I remember when I met Xeon that makes Team Titan. I remember him asking me in the comments before one of my episodes, like, oh, how'd you do the ghost effect? And I said like, oh, I just recorded like off screen like ghost dialogue and just cut the part. It's like, okay, fine. And then I noticed he, like a month later he uploads his own machinima and taking my advice. I was like, oh, so that's why you asked me.
Oh.
All right, okay, cool. So yeah, so the reason why the Discord was made, because originally I was using the Xbox Club to get my body actors, and I felt like I missed out a lot of people that wanted to help. So Tempest's friend made a Discord just for pretty much me, Xeon, and Tempest, and eventually a lot of people jumped in and with their own machinimas. So like other people like Fiery Jedi came in with his machinimas. Who else as well? Who came in as well? Obviously Mace as well came in, and especially came in like well later on. But you know, it's just a lot of people see the Discord and they just join in and want to make their own machinima. So it's great, and even just people just fans of Fire Team Weasel, from the Ashes or Team Titan came in pretty much just to be a fan. Anyway, and they said, "Oh, I want to help." So that's how they how we grew. Like I made new friends from there. You know, it's been growing ever since, basically. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. On that note, does anyone have any final things they want to say to everyone watching?
Just real quick before about the server, like, you know, finding people. I think that's important to have a group of people, one that you can work with, and you know, you can be fans of each other. But don't sleep on the you know, LFG, the Xbox LFG. I've totally used that before for finding people. And I even actually found someone on Reddit. Actually, I needed back in D1. I needed somebody that had the Crota ornaments on a Warlock, for the gear.
Yeah.
And I went on the Destiny like fashion r/Destiny fashion subreddit and found somebody that had it, and it's like, hey, you know, I'm doing this. I just need you to walk around, like, you know, you utilize this stuff. You know, if you don't have access to Discord, or you know, if you can't get anything over Discord, utilize LFG features or utilize or do the old-fashioned thing of messaging people in the tower, because that can work too sometimes. Yeah.
What about you, Specialist? Any final words?
I mean, yeah, if you guys have the free time to listen to like this entire hour long podcast, whatever this is, then congrats to you. Thanks for listening to us. I had a good time talking with y'all. I hope y'all had a good time listening to us. Peace out.
Yeah. All right. Peace.
Goodbye.